What's up, my awesome YouTubers? Rhine1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys. And in this October video, I am talking 80s horror movies. And, just horror movies in general, so not just slasher movies. I'm going to talk about just some of my favorite 80s horror movies. And I just picked out a stack of movies, so it's not a top 10, top 20, nothing like that. Just talking 80s horror movies, guys. I grew up with 80s horror movies. I rented quite a bit of them, at the video stores. A lot of VHS memories. A lot of great cover arts on a lot of horror movies that just really intrigued me. So I want to talk about some of my favorites that I grew up with or I watched later in life that I want you guys to watch and check out. And I tried to get things that weren't out of print, so if you guys can watch them, purchase them, you can stream them if you can, do what you can to watch these movies because these are great, guys. And if you purchase any of these, they're great additions. So, also, I tried to pick lesser known ones, but, every one of these horror movies, somebody has heard of. And I did pick a couple of, popular titles that are on this list that I'm sure a lot of people have seen. I just wanted to pull out a lot of my favorite 80s horror movies and recommend them to you guys and have a talk with them. So let's get started, guys. The first one I'm going to talk about is the 1985-86 film, Night of the Creeps. This is a great zombie horror movie comedy. I love this. You got Tom Atkins in the film. It's also sci-fi, so there's a mix of a lot of different genres and subgenres in here. But yeah, Night of the Creeps, guys, fantastic movie. I remember for the longest time you could not get this movie until I think 2008 or 2009 or 2010 when they released the first DVD and Blu-ray. But I love this edition, guys. I've always loved that original artwork, and this is from Scream Factory. If you've never seen it, pick it up, guys. It is a must-watch. It's definitely one I would say is purchase-worthy. In fact, all these are, but that is a great one. If you like Monster Squad, same director, Fred Decker, directed that movie, and I believe Monster Squad was his second film he did. The next one is a sequel. I absolutely love this. I love the original movie. Love the sequel, though, and it's a great double feature with the original film and this movie. That is Psycho 2, 1981, I believe, or 1983. Wow, 1983. Is it 1983? Yeah, 1983. I thought it was like 81, 82. But Psycho 2, guys, great movie here. Again, a great sequel to the original film and a great double feature. So check that one out. That is, again, a must-watch if you've never seen it. I always feel like the Psycho franchise is a very underrated franchise. And so if you've never seen any of them, definitely watch them all. Psycho 2 through 4 are a lot of fun, and there's a lot of charm to each one of them. This next one is a pretty well-known slasher, but it's one of my favorites. It's one of the movies that got me into horror movies, and that is Prom Night, the one from 1980. I love this artwork, guys. I love this edition from Synapse. I think it's great. So check that one out if you've never seen it. A lot of people know about that one, though. Jamie Lee Curtis, one of the first, slasher films to come out in the 80s, 1980, same year as Terror Train, I believe, and the classic Friday the 13th. This is a Italian giallo horror movie slasher all mixed into one. I absolutely love it. Very eerie movie too, and one to definitely check out. High on the list is Stage Fright. I love this movie. You got a really eerie killer. The owl mask in this movie is very eerie. I love the setting. I love the music. Just a great movie all around, guys. One of my favorites by far. I love Stage Fright. The next one is The Boogans. I love this creature feature movie. One, it takes place in the snow, so that's always a plus for me. I love snowy type horror movies, and The Boogans is right up there with some of the best. This is a great one, guys, if you've never seen it. Lesser known creature feature movie, not a lot of people talk about it, so put this one on your list. It is a must watch. This next one came out in the late 80s, and I remember watching this movie, bits of like tiny moments in this movie. I remember watching a scene in this movie on TV during the late 90s. It was on one of those random local channels that I had in my room, and I remember the scene with the father and the son, and it's this nightmare. Not really a nightmare, it's, it's happening, in real life during the movie, but it's a very eerie moment, and the line that the father says is, "You've been bad," and that is The Gate. Another creature feature, demon-like movie, a lot of fun, very eerie too, so you got a mix of different kind of emotions in this, some fun, some suspense, some truly terrifying moments like the scene I talked about between the father and the son. But The Gate, guys, that is a great one. And this is a great Vestron release. A lot of great bonus features, really good transfer of the movie. I remember, again, this was one of those movies that was like hard to come by during like the mid 2000s. I know they did like an old DVD with not the greatest transfer, but for the longest time, if you wanted that, you had to pay like a lot of money once it went out of print. Then they released a Lionsgate DVD with a really bad cover art that was available from Lionsgate, and it was good, and I had that one for the longest time. But I was happy that Vestron released it on Blu-ray with that original artwork. I mean, that is just classic stuff right there. And again, one to check out. Real quick, the plot of this movie is, it's about these kids who pretty much open the portal to hell. There's a hole in the backyard of this kid's house, and it's the portal to hell, and all these little demon-like creatures come out. So much else goes on in that movie. That is definitely a favorite of mine from the 80s. This one, of course, is really well known, but I realized when I was talking, horror movie icons this year, like Halloween and Friday the 13th, I don't think I talked about Nightmare on Elm Street too much. I think I did, sporadically. But I did not talk about this icon himself, and this came out the same year I was born, and that is Child's Play. This is by far my favorite still of the franchise. I love Child's Play. I love this edition from Scream Factory. Glad they went with original artwork here. But Child's Play, guys, great movie. Everybody knows this one, so don't really need to talk about it too much. But this one, for the longest time as a kid, terrified me. I remember when they came out with like the My Buddy dolls, and I always associated the My Buddy dolls with Chucky. I think a lot of kids did when they were younger. The next one is a sequel of a franchise that I absolutely love. Very underrated franchise, again, like the Psycho franchise, and that is Phantasm. Love Phantasm 2. I love the original Phantasm, and honestly, I go back and forth if I like the original Phantasm or Phantasm 2 better. But Phantasm 2 is a great sequel, and again, for the longest time, this was a movie that was long out of print. In fact, not even out of print. I don't even think the US had a DVD for the longest time, and it wasn't until 2009 or 2010 that we finally got a standard bare bones DVD. But eventually came out on Blu-ray from Scream Factory, and this edition is actually from I believe the Welgo USA box set. I have the box set with the tall man on it. I'm not sure how much this Phantasm 2 Blu-ray is going for, or the Scream Factory one, but I think the DVD's available. At least that one's in print. So if you want to check out Phantasm 2, just check it out any way you can. Streaming, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you could find. Check out, just the Phantasm movies in general. If you've only seen the first movie, give the sequels a watch. I pretty much love that franchise. I think 5 is actually an okay film. The rest, though, are very entertaining. Underrated film that I love watching during the October, fall, Halloween season is Pumpkinhead. Stan Winston's Pumpkinhead. A movie that still creeps me out today. But love Pumpkinhead, love the atmosphere, great fall atmosphere. You have pumpkins in there. I don't know if it takes place during October, but It is a great movie that has a great fall atmosphere to it. One of my favorite zombie films. Again, I go back and forth between this and the original Dawn of the Dead, but that is Return of the Living Dead. This one's pretty well known. A lot of people know about this one, but once again, if you've never seen Return of the Living Dead, give it a watch, guys. I actually really enjoy and love the 3 original films. So this movie, the second movie, and the third movie, I think they're all highly entertaining. And yeah, definitely check out Return of the Living Dead. That is a great zombie movie. You got a great cast in it. Tom Matthews, Linnea Quigley, Beverly Rudolph, Clu Gallagher, I believe. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. James Karen. So just a great cast overall and a great zombie movie. Great soundtrack too. I love the soundtrack. Underrated Wes Craven movie. I love this. Came out in 1989. That is Shocker. This one has grown on me quite a bit. First time I saw it, I thought it was a good movie and I liked it. But over the years, I've really fallen in love with this movie. You got a great underrated villain, Horace Pinker, I believe, right there on the front. You got a great soundtrack, one of my favorite 80s rock soundtracks. I absolutely love it. I put it up there with the original Trick or Treat, that movie's soundtrack, the Blob soundtrack, Nightmare on Elm Street 4. But yeah, Shocker, guys, from Wes Craven, the late Wes Craven. This is a great one. He's got a lot of great underrated movies from the 80s. You got Deadly Blessing, Deadly Friend. I actually really like Hills of Eyes Part 2. Shocker's just one of them, guys. I absolutely love that movie. One of my favorite underrated not vampire films, but werewolf movies out there is Silver Bullet. I love that new Scream Factory artwork. This is a great one again. Really, really impressive movie. I think it's impressive. I love this movie. It still gets to me. It's a very eerie werewolf movie, and not a lot of werewolf movies get to me, but you got great performances. Corey Haim, the late Corey Haim, is the lead character in this movie, and he, believes that, and later it's revealed, but, he finds out that the local minister or preacher is a werewolf, and he is killing and attacking people who do wrongful things, or they are committing sins or thinking about committing sins. So that werewolf goes after those people, but then Corey Haim finds out about it, and so the local preacher / werewolf starts going after Corey Haim and his family. But Silver Bullet, guys, if you've never seen it, check this one out. I have yet to watch it this October. I got a few more days, so I think I'm going to pop this one on today. But I love Silver Bullet. If you've never seen it, give that a watch. That scared me as a kid, and I just always remember the scene when the girl is about ready to commit suicide. Like, it's the beginning of the movie. It's one of the first kills, and the werewolf breaks into her room and just kills her herself. And that the way the scene was lit, the direction of it was very creepy and very eerie for me as a kid, and that one always stuck with me. And I could never remember the title for the movie for the longest time until finding it on, I think I might have rewatched it on TV years later, and then of course DVD, and now the Blu-ray. But I love Silver Bullet. If you've never seen it, check that one out. The next one is a well-known vampire film. It's my favorite vampire film of all time, and that is Fright Night. Of course, you got The Lost Boys, which is a great one, and you got Near Dark, which is also another great movie. I really hope one day Near Dark gets a re-release on Blu-ray. Of course, the Fright Night Blu-ray is out of print. This one is. I think Sony released one, a Blu-ray on demand that you can pick up. But Fright Night, I absolutely love this vampire film. Once again, like Silver Bullet, this movie terrified me as a kid. I know there's some comedy in it, but I always found it to be more of a horror movie than comedy. But I know that was the idea, to make it a horror movie comedy. It just frightened me as a kid, but now I love it. It is one of my favorite vampire films, or my favorite vampire film. So, absolutely love it. Of course, you gotta have some Stephen King on, any list. I love Stephen King, and I think there's two more after this. I think I named off a few others. Silver Bullet was a Stephen King short story. But this one's a John Carpenter film, one of my favorite John Carpenter films, and one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, and that is Christine. Just one of the best movies from the 80s, one of my favorite Carpenter films, and one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. I love Christine. I love the book. The book is really good. I love the movie, though. This is such a great movie. Once again, iconic score from John Carpenter. That obviously is one of the things that makes the movie so good. You got some great performances, and you got great direction. You would never think that a car would be scary, but John Carpenter and Stephen King were able to make a car scary. The next one, I'm actually wearing the t-shirt right now. I'm a big Witchboard fan, and so Witchboard is one to check out. I just mentioned this not too long ago, but absolutely love Witchboard. A great Scream Factory release. I was so excited when Scream Factory announced Witchboard because I always feel like this movie, even though it does have the fan following, it's a pretty underrated movie. I grew up with this film. I grew up with Witchboard 2, Witch Trap. I remember renting all those movies at a local mom and pop video store in Oregon, and that was the first time I saw them. And I absolutely love Witchboard. So check that one out. Again, eerie movie too. There's some really eerie moments, and you got a great score, great soundtrack, great cast. Absolutely love it. The next one is another Stephen King one. Kind of an underrated film. I think more people talked about it, you know, when I was growing up, and now when people talk about it, you know, they talk about how it's one of the lesser great Stephen King adaptations, and it can be cheesy, but I just find a lot of charm with it, and there's pretty suspenseful moments. That is Children of the Corn. Not a lot of people put this on their list when they talk about, you know, favorite Stephen King adaptations, movie adaptations, but I love Children of the Corn, guys. This is another great one. There's nothing on the back, but this Arrow edition's fantastic. You got a lot of great bonus features. Definitely worth picking up, guys. It came with a cool slipcover, which I just wanted to show off the original artwork there. Love Children of the Corn. Freaked me out as a kid, and I still love it today. Loved it then, love it now. Another Carpenter favorite. I'm a big John Carpenter fan. As you can probably tell, I think I named off at least two movies already. This is the third one, or the second one I'm talking about, and that is The Fog. I love, love, love The Fog. Great Carpenter movie, came out in 1980. A lot of people know about this one. This is a well-known one, but you know, this is one of my all-time favorites. I know there's some people that don't like this movie, though. I absolutely love The Fog. I think it's great. You got a great overall cast. You got a great setting. Once again, a great score by Carpenter. Takes place on a small island. And like with Christine, you never look at the fog, you know, legit fog, again after you watch this movie. So, love The Fog. One of my favorites. Great anthology movie, George A. Romero and Stephen King teaming up, and that is Creepshow. You know, you gotta mention an anthology, and this is by far my favorite one. I love Creepshow. Great movie. I really like Creepshow 2 as well, but this is my favorite of the bunch. Great movie here, great anthology, some really good stories, great cast. Adrienne Barbeau's in this, Ted Danson, the late Leslie Nielsen. So many others, but Creepshow, guys, check that one out if you've never seen it, which I think a lot of people have seen that one. And the last one I'm talking about is one of my favorite 80s horror movie remakes. Great practical effects, came out during the late 80s. I absolutely love this movie, and that is The Blob. I've never seen the original. I actually own the original movie, so that's kind of sad that I haven't seen it yet. So eventually I will watch that movie, but my go-to Blob is always the remake. I love it. I talked about soundtracks. I love the ending song by Alien, I believe they're called. Underrated band. The song's called Brave New Love, but I love that song. Love the movie all around. Again, great practical effects and great cast. Just absolutely love this movie. And Chuck Russell directed this movie, and one of his first movies was Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warrior, or Dream Warriors. So, but The Blob, guys, fantastic. If you've never seen it, again, go out and watch these movies. Anyway, guys, I went through these pretty quick. Didn't really go into a lot of detail. Again, you know, horror movie fans know about these, but if you say you haven't heard about these, or you haven't seen them, or if it's been a while since you watched them, check them out, guys. They're all worth watching, and I could have pulled out so many others, but I just went with those, guys. Anyway, stay tuned for a video tomorrow. Stay tuned for a video on Halloween Day, and I will have something post-Halloween on Sunday as well. It's going to be October related because every day is Halloween, according to me and according to a lot of us. So anyway, guys, hope you have a great, I believe, Thursday. It's Thursday now. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy the last week of October. Enjoy Halloween week. And I will see you guys tomorrow. So as always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. In with a positive, out with the negative. Go eat some Skittles. And so much love to you guys. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.